Hey guys, welcome back to another mixlessons.com video quick tip. Today I want to talk a little bit about creating session templates to speed up your workflow. There's been a couple of episodes of the Mix Lessons video quick tips that deal with workflow, and this is another one you could say in that series. There isn't really a series, but you get the idea. So the thing I like to do, and again, I'm a mix engineer primarily, and as you may have gathered by this point in the series, and I noticed in my earlier years that I spent a great deal of time at the beginning of a mix just setting up. And I would do this over and over again from mix after mix, where I would, for example, I would create some subgroup tracks and I'd create some folders and I'd set up my standard sort of ambient effects, sends and reverbs and delays and things that may get tweaked later on as the mix progresses. But these are general things that I pretty much always use. And at a certain point in time, I slapped myself in the head and realized, wait a second, I can save this all as a template and have it all ready for me the instant that I go to approach a new mix. So this is basically what I do, and how you could do it. And I'm sure, now again, I'm a Cubase user, but I'm sure these same techniques can apply to any DAW that you might be using at the moment. So first thing is, I know that oftentimes I'm mixing band tracks, like, guitars, basses, drums, keyboards, vocals, this type of ensemble. Once in a while, I get the chance to play with some some electronica, some dubstep, some dance and club type mixes, which would have a similar type of template setup, just labels would be different. Maybe instead of a guitar folder, there might be a synth folder or something of that nature. But here's a general walkthrough that you can sort of tweak and adjust to your needs. So first thing I'll do is create some subgroups. So what I'm going to do in Cubase is add some group channel tracks. My group channel tracks, my buses are always stereo. That way the tracks that I send into them can be panned left or right or what have you, and they'll come out in that group where I hope that they will. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to create, let's say, one for drums, one for guitars, one for basses, because a lot of times I have more than one bass track, one for keys, one for lead vocals, one for backing vocals, and one for all vocals. Okay, vocals, by the way, that's an abbreviation. And I'm going to add those. So I'm going to create 7 group tracks right off the bat here. Okay, the next thing I'll do is label them. We'll say drums, we'll say bass, we'll say guitar, we'll say keys, we'll say lead vocals, back vocals, and all vocals. Okay. Now you'll notice in these group tracks, the first few are pretty self-explanatory. All of the drum tracks are going to land on this fader so that I can manipulate the entire drum kit as a single instrument. Same with the bass tracks, the guitar, the keys, etc. The vocals, what I'm going to do is I'm going to go one step further, and I'm going to change the way these route. Now, right now, all of these route to bus 1, which in my particular situation is the main stereo output that hits my speakers, okay? So, but what I want to do is I want to take the lead vocals and the background vocals, and I want to send them not right directly to the stereo output, but I'm going to send them out into the all vocals bus. So now I have a little bit more control. If I want to manipulate just the lead vocals, because there might be more than one track, oftentimes there is, I can do that here. I can solo them all, and I can adjust them on a fader. I can add effects, I can tweak, and so on and so forth. I can do the same for the backing vocals. But if I want to adjust all of the vocals together, I have that secondary level of control on the all vocals bus. Okay, so my drums, my bass, my guitar, my keys all go directly to the stereo output. My lead and backing vocals go to the all vocals bus, and that goes directly to the stereo output. So that's a good place to begin. I can contract that group and get those out of the way. And that's a good general place to start. So now when I import my tracks of a new session into my mix, I can really quickly just send them where I want to send them. I can grab all the drum tracks, shift select them, and send them all to the drum group, and then I'm done with it, right? And the same for all the other groups of instruments, okay? so let's close that out of the way. And the other thing I like to do in this sort of very basic general template example is I like to set up my effects sends. In Cubase, they're referred to as effects channels, an effects channel track. They're always going to be stereo for the most part. And in a general mix, I typically have some type of short reverb, like a room type reverb, some type of longer reverb, like a plate reverb or something, you know, typically used on maybe a vocal or a snare shot or something of that nature, and some type of delay setup. So I'm gonna grab, for the first effect, I'm gonna grab my reverence reverb, which is a convolution reverb, and I've talked about that in another episode of the video quick tips. And I like to use the convolution reverbs for my room reverbs. I find, I'm going to add that here, I find that they typically they do a great job of allowing me to make every track sound like they were recorded together in the same physical space, in the same room, the same studio. The default setting, the LA studio, a lot of times is just where I start, and I can tweak to taste as the ear sees fit. So now I've got my reverence reverb open on an effects send that I can send any track in my mix to that reverb. The second one I like, and I'm just going to add another effects channel track. Stereo again. This time I'm going to add a longer plate reverb. The one that I really love is the EMT Plate 140 from Universal Audio. This is a absolutely fabulous plate reverb. If you are a reverb connoisseur and you have not played with the EMT 140 from Universal Audio with the UAD powered plugins, get it. It's awesome. So there's my plate reverb. And again, I would tweak it as the mix goes on, but let's just set it up right now. So it's available. And I like to go in and just rename these. I'm going to call this room. Got an extra letter in there. Room, and I'm going to call this plate. And last but not least, for the purposes of this demonstration, I'll add in a delay of some kind. I like the Super Taps 2 stereo by Waves. This is a Waves plugin. I'm going to add that. And what Super Taps is, it's a delay plugin, and it gives me 2 delays in one plugin. I can turn on or off. I can use just a single delay, or I can have a secondary delay to do some more interesting effects. Okay, so I like to set that up. And then the last one I like to set up is another delay, something a little more affected, something a little more, let's see, where's my delays? There they are. Something a little more unique and kind of character, you know, I don't know, got more character. And I really love the H delay from Waves. The H delay has a nice analog sound to it. It's even got a lo-fi button, which really adds some grit and saturation to the delayed signal. It follows your BPM like any respectable delay would, and it's pretty easy to play around with. So now I've got a couple of different reverbs, a couple of different delays. I can collapse that if I like as well. In fact, for the sake of this, let's just expand them all so we can see it. And then now I'm ready to import my tracks. I can import all the tracks, send them really quickly to the groups that they belong to, you know, set up my sends, you know, throw the vocal to the plate, throw the guitar or whatever to the room reverb and what have you, and then I can go ahead and tweak and commence my mix. So the last step in the process here is to save this as a template. So I'll go into File, Save as a Template. It's as easy as that in Cubase. You'll have to dig around in the DAW that you use if you're not a Cubase user, but guaranteed you can do the same things. Okay, save it as a template. Bring it over from my other monitor so you all can see it, and give it a name. I'd give it a name right here, call it maybe, well, I've got one here already, mix import stems out, that mix import right there, and hit save, hit OK. And it's as simple as that. And now from there, let's just call this test template. Okay, I'll hit OK and save that. And now if I close this session altogether, I'm not going to bother saving it, and I'm going to open up a new session. Now you'll notice in my template window is test template. If I double click that and say, yep, save it in that folder right there, the channel or the session is going to load up exactly the way I left it, ready for me and waiting for me to import the audio. There it is right there that I want to commence mixing. So hopefully you can find that useful. If you're not already using this technique, definitely start, because it's a massive time saver and it'll allow you to get to the fun part a lot quicker. So hope you enjoyed that. We'll see you on the next quick tip. For more free video mixing quick tips, visit www.mixlessons.com.